everyone? Welcome back again to another exciting episode of the Iconist podcast, where it stands for Icon Is. And who the icon is going to be today, we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. Hey, never gets old for me. One of your hostess with the mostest. And on my side, as always, the one and only
DJ Rossi. How y'all doing?
Hey.
The jokes are forever. That's hilarious. What's up, people? Welcome out there in the internet world. Good introduction. Welcome to the Iconist. How y'all doing? All right. So yeah, you see, we're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna break down who we're gonna talk about. Just about now. No, now.
Yes.
Now
we are going to talk about Marvel's Power Pack. And you're going to think, what is something to plug into your phone and keep it going? If you a power pack a portable power pack? No.
Oh, Energized Bunny. He's part of Marvel now. Is that it?
No, he's not.
Energized Bunny.
No, not Energized Bunny. Not the Energized Bunny. No. 4 siblings, 4 kids, all together. Right.
They're
a pack. They get power.
There's a pack of 4.
Pack of 4, and they get power. Not to be confused with batteries. Energizer, Eveready, Duracell, none of those. No. 4 kids, which usually kids have a lot of energy already, so they've got their own. We'll get into that. But first and foremost, let's give it a round of applause, for the one who makes us look so pretty all the time, the one and only Mr. J Bird Digital Arts. So once again, thank you so much, Jason, for making us look so pretty. If you need any work done, reach out to J Bird Digital Arts for your templates, your logos, your media, your press kits, anything you need done. J Bird can do it for you. Tell him you heard about it through the Iconist podcast, and tell him we said hi. Absolutely.
Hey,
how you doing? Also, our little round table. If you're looking for some comedy stuff to watch at times, you could check out A Touch of Gray Matter with yours truly, Barry 3D, along with Thomas Patrice, Zulfa Ali, and the one who runs it, Dave Sokolowski. We are, as I keep telling you, the Canadian version of Plastic Cup Boys or Blue Collar Comedy, but we're just a lot more diverse. Yep. We had some good subjects, and I said we're up to 130 something episodes. I haven't even looked lately, but we've got a lot on our YouTube channel. So please, and just like that, this Iconist is on a YouTube channel. We have hit episode 51. This is officially episode 51. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. Thank you for all those who are following us. But please, like, subscribe, share, hit the notifications buttons. And if you don't want to have the notifications, understand, on Tuesdays, that's right, Rod, right below notifications, tap the button. Tap the button. These videos drop every Tuesdays. The audio drops every Wednesday. And that's on all your streaming services where you get your podcasts from. So don't be shy. Stream it, enjoy it. And instead, we reply to all the comments. So, we have all our social media. You see the links down below. You can catch it all for myself, for Rod, for the show, for stuff we do independently and what we do together. United, we stand. Voltron.
Form of arm.
Go.
Mighty GoBots. Oh,
we're so getting to that. So this is the month of April. April's the 4th month. This is the month that we're covering everything of 4. We went through March Madness. We had a whole lot of guests on. Now with April, we did take a pause to do our 50th episode. So we kind of broke the norm of that. Now we're back to the formula. April is a month of 4. So 4 it is. We covered off the UFOs. 4. Right? Evil version, as I like to say, of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, we never really kind of tackled something like this. So we're talking about Marvel's Power Pack. Right?
Who's that?
Well, it was 4 kids, that got powers from an alien, and then they used these powers to save their parents and then try to help out. But it was more dealing, not so much the fact that there were 4 kids that had powers. It was 4 kids who were brothers and sisters. So 2 boys, 2 girls, various ages, preteens, young teens. And this is who the book was written for. This is the audience it was trying to attract. And this is why it was done the way it was done. And I remember when it first came out, it looked exciting. I'm like, hey, I was a young person at the time, and I got the book, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. I see what they're doing. Right. I see the elements that kind of they took from. They had their tropes in there that were already, which work. And the book ran longer than you would think. And these characters kept coming back and coming back, and they're still here in the Marvel universe, right? Yep. They didn't get rid of them. So just to give you a little bit of history, of course, as we said, by Marvel, name of the book, Power Pack. Issue number 1 was in August of 1984. Woo!
just a while.
It is a while. The book ran for about, the original volume 1 ran for like 62 issues, right? And then they came back, and within that, they had their mismatch of adventures. So there's times where they've teamed up, of course, with Spider-Man. They've teamed up, inadvertently, and I'll say this, with the Fantastic Four, right? More with Franklin, because at one point, there was no other kids in the Marvel universe that had powers outside of the X-Men, right? So not a mutant, altered humans. That's what they called them back in. If you played Marvel Superheroes, the role-playing game back in the day, you had mutants and you had altered humans. So obviously Wolverine's a mutant, born with it, hits puberty, his powers develop. Captain America is a altered human, right? Where something happened that altered his physiology, his DNA, and made him the way he is. That's an altered human, right? I know there was a term for anyone that had like mech stuff like Iron Man. So Iron Man wouldn't be an altered human. Captain America would be, right? The super soldier serum. So they would be considered altered humans. So they wouldn't fall into mutants, but they're the only kids, non-mutant, being hunted down by giant robot sentinels. And so it was only natural at one point that Franklin would kind of gravitate
and run into them. Yeah, basically. No, sorry, you know what? Keep going.
You're right. Man. What's your point, man? What's your point, man?
Not the point. I was just saying is that Marvel realizing, like you said, they came out to kind of pull in that demographic, and then we realized we have something here. What other children do we have outside of the X-Men? There really wasn't anything. So it made sense that they would collaborate and connect with Franklin, more often than another, and find a parody of collaboration between them, and just say, okay, listen, we're young, you're young, kind of scenario. At least get it written in the storyline, have them connect, every once in a while. So, like you said, they've lasted very longer than you would think. How much storyline can you actually pull out? They did 68 issues, so I guess they found a lot of story to talk about.
Oh yeah, 62 issues. Yeah, but
62. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's only volume 1, as I said.
Right.
They brought the books back.
Correct.
Heroes have showed up in different mediums. So let's go with the nitty gritty of it. So Jim Shooter was the editor in chief over at Marvel Comics at the time, and he turned around and he wanted to encourage his writers to maybe aim more for a younger demographic. He wanted the writers to also maybe take up art at the same time if they're able to, or put certain teams together to aim for that demographic. So I think that was a smart move. And he went to Louise Simonson, as a writer, and her husband Walter, is a writer and an artist. So Walter has done a lot. Just a side note, he did do Fourth World for DC. For the New Gods at one point. He wrote that. He wrote Thor at one point and was writing and drawing Thor. So if you remember Thor when they brought in Beta Ray Bill and that storyline, yeah, and those were some very action going storylines. That was Walter. And Walter worked a lot with his wife, Louise. And I believe there was like a Hawk and Dove miniseries that they were still behind helping to help pencil and write. I'd have to double check that, but this is when they brought in Dawn Granger, with Hank Hall. So it was the first time you see the female Dove after his brother Donnie
passed away.
So they've been in comics forever. Husband and wife team in comics forever. And, Jim was turning around and saying, hey, we want to aim for this demographic. So he was pushing Louise to write a book, more along that side. And she resisted the first couple of times. She's like, no. Jim's like, come on.
Poking the bear.
Yeah. And as I said, she resisted to do it, right? Because she was more like a freelance, and so this is really what it was. And then finally, she came up with something. Like he hired a whole bunch of editors. There was a workload, so because she was working on a lot of projects. And then she came up and proposed the idea of Power Pack. Finally, she kind of broke down and says, "Hey, look, you know what? Here's Power Pack. What do you think?" And he loved the idea. Right. It's got action. It's got family. It's got sci-fi aspect to it. These things usually do well. And if you go back to the 80s, that's what we were living. Right. That was it.
Yep.
So he hit the market. So Louise Simonson was one of the creators, and she was the writer on it. And they had June Brigman, who was the artist. And to me, that was the first time I was exposed to June's art. I don't remember June doing anything else myself that I picked up and bought. Issue number 1 of the original cover, it was very dynamic when I looked at it. And that's what I'm saying. So the whole thing about it, and what I liked was it was a different aspect. Usually every time aliens come to Earth, it's like, we must destroy, take over, destroy. This time there's an alien, and for intents and purposes, he had his longer name, but he looked like a seahorse. He had the face of a seahorse, very palish white skin. He was in a ship that he called Friday, and his nickname was Whitey because he was very like a pale white humanoid looking seahorse. So he got that seahorse face, and he had his different powers. So this is what comes in, and he came to Earth not to destroy, not to invade it, not that he was running away from somebody and he needed to hide out. Last survivor of any planet. No. He was coming to Earth to save us. Save us from us. Because, as I said, you have the 4 kids. So you have Alex, Jack, Katie, and Julie, right? So Alex was the oldest. Julie was the second oldest. Then it was Jack. And then it was Katie, who was the youngest, right? So those are 4 siblings. Had their parents, I can't remember what the mom did right now. I'm not sure if she was a school teacher or something like that in the series, and forgive me, but the dad was a scientist.
Correct.
And he was working for one of these companies, and he invented something. And he invented this he was trying to give the world clean energy.
Right.
Sounds like Iron Man movie. Arc reactor, clean, sustainable energy. Almost sounds like Justice League Unlimited, where it was Superman fighting Captain Marvel, where they bring in Captain Marvel in that because Lex Luthor built up a free city and inadvertently used kryptonite to power the city without telling Superman and caused a fight. So, right. So what happened with this machine is, Whitey almost observing what was happening on Earth, and I don't know how he knew, that Dr. Powers, because the family's name is Power.
Ironically, Power Pack. We'll just leave it
right?
at that.
Right? Come on, man. No one know that. That's a true good secret identity, man. That's up there with Jason David Frank, playing Tommy, the Green Ranger, always wearing green. Knowing martial arts. But no one didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Too much work.
Right? It's like, everyone sees Jason, Austin St. I can't remember, it was Austin St. or Jason St. Austin, or, the one who played the Red Power Ranger. Always wearing red. But no one put doing martial arts. But I digress. So he turned around, made this whole blueprint. He's going over his specs. Whitey realizes that the machine that he's about to create can destroy the world. The same adage of if it falls into wrong hands, things can go wrong.
Well, he did make it, actually. He did actually make it.
Yes, he did.
He did actually make it. But it was, it was kind of like, at the time, the father didn't know that it was the trouble that it could potentially bring to the whole planet Earth. So I agree with you. I'm trying to recall, while you're saying, how did Whitey find that out? Because he was a scientist on his own planet.
Yep.
So Whitey was a scientist on his own planet, and the main reason, you know what? I don't know if we're gonna jump ahead.
No, go ahead.
The reason why Whitey came to help us, to save us from ourselves, is because Dr. Powers actually Professor Powers actually created this, this whole self-sustaining, energy source. But the machine actually has a bad effect that basically once turned on, and after a while, it will basically do the reverse. Instead of projecting energy, it's going to like provide energy. It's just basically basically blow up. Our planet was on the verge of just being destroyed. Let's just leave it like that. We all
bing,
going to
bada
die.
boom.
Bada boom. What's that cloud of dust? Too late, my friend. Too late. So
too late, my friend. Too late.
Too late. So Whitey
it was
kind of
all
realized.
a dream.
Oh! So the scenario was that basically Whitey, his people did the exact same thing, and they realized it was too late what was the issue, and then basically, it destroyed his homeworld. So this was the reason why he realized, unknown to you humans, you Earthlings are about to hurt yourself. Let me warn you. Don't hit the button. What? Don't power it on. You don't hit this red button? Yeah, don't. So that's basically the main reason. Again, great that we have a wonderful being from outside this hemisphere, outside this planet, coming to save us from ourselves. You go, Whitey.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it.
This is one time it's appropriate saying Whitey's always watching.
I can't take this guy nowhere.
Whitey's trying to keep him down.
To save him from ourselves.
Oh, jeez. I always feel like somebody's watching me. And his name is Whitey.
Ladies and gentlemen. Wow. All right, cool. So, back to our scheduled program. There you go.
Oh, man. It had to be said. Okay, so that going on. So I don't know how Whitey figured out. He was observing. I guess he was watching. Like every time they're always watching how humans are doing. We're like their petri dish for the alien race. Like for the rest of the galaxy, they always make Earth like the petri dish. It's like let's look in to see what's happening today. Oh, look, civilization. Oh, they blew something up. All right, then let's see what happens in 100 years.
Yeah, we'll be back.
We're the scientific experiment. Man, that's how they always make us look like.
See what you're doing. Okay, cool. Yeah, as of this date and this time, okay, doctor, we'll just come back and recheck for them in another 2 weeks.
Exactly.
To see how the progress is. Thank you very much.
The
put in the medical sheet. Put in like the medical sheet, just like the chart, like MASH kind of days. Like,
yes.
Doctor's like, what are we about to do today? I don't know. Pull it up. Let's see. Be right back. Nurse, I don't know about. We'll check them out later again. Here we go.
Well, exactly. It's I'm telling you, they make Earth like it's the Truman Show, right? The only thing is not just one person doesn't know what's going on. All of us don't know what's going on, and everyone's just watching us. I feel like from outside of our solar system, everyone's just looking and say, "Okay, oh, they're sending a probe. Everyone veer left." Did a probe pick up anything? Not a thing. Okay, the probe is passed. All right, go back, center up. Oh, they sent another probe. Everyone veer right. So that's what it comes down to. So let's get into the storyline of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What he observes, he understands what's going on. The kids are at a beach, they're at a, their beach home,
mm-hmm.
right? They're doing their chores as normal kids can do. They hear on the radio. So at the table, they have very different personalities, as they should. So Alex, who's being the oldest, kind of follows his dad's footsteps. He likes to be the responsible one, almost like the leader. He's the older sibling. He's building a telescope. His dad's going over the blueprints. They just finished having dinner. He's finishing up on his telescope. Then you have Julie and Jack are doing the dishes, but Jack is not paying attention. Jack is just walking around. He's been drying one dish for how long, and Julie's actually washing and drying and reading a book at the same time, because that's what she's focused on. She likes reading her novels, so you can tell that she's very academic minded.
Mm-hmm.
And so's Alex. But Jack is more of the scrapper. He wants the rough house. He's into baseball. He's tossing things around. He's at one child. You always have two children, and one child is one way and the other child going the other way. Well, there you go. There you go. And then Katie, being the youngest, well, she's not going to do any chores. She's just looking outside at the beach and the waves, and she's looking at the stars, and she just wants to go and play. And then she's listening to the radio, and on the radio it says that there's shooting stars that are coming down. If you look outside, you can see them. So Alex is trying to get his telescope done as quick as possible. Jack is running around the table, bumps it, and he's very feisty at the same time. It's like, you almost broke. He's like, whatever, sibling rivalry, how they fight. Katie's like, oh, I want to see this. I want to see the shooting stars. I'm looking. It's like, maybe it's a UFO. And it's like, no, a UFO. What? And then the radio says something about a UFO. And the parents are like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then Katie's like, who's the youngest, turns out, oh, I see it. There's the shooting stars. It changed direction.
Right.
Because what's happening is that Whitey, and we don't get a full view of Whitey yet. We just see the spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being, of course, attacked by other spaceships, and it's being fired on. So he's trying to fight back, doesn't have weapons. He's crash landing on Earth. So this is what those shooting stars that they reported on the radio was. And then it's when it changed direction. So at one point, Alex turns around and says, hey, I got my telescope. Dad, is it okay if we sleep outside tonight? Like, just not away from the house. You could tell they're on a 2-story house. It's got a patio, but they're the only house on the beach. It's a beach house. He goes, can we sleep outdoors tonight on the patio so I can use my telescope to look at the stars? Right. And then all the other siblings come in. Yeah, me too. And the parents say, oh, okay, sure. Hey, it was the 80s. I know you wouldn't do that in this day and age because people crazy, but it was the 80s. So it's like, sure, the kids are right outside the patio door on the patio. So no child endangerment, it was a different time. They're there and they're looking. And then, of course, as the story progresses, they see something coming down, and then it kind of crash lands. Katie sees it. Mm-hmm. It hits the water, and then it the waves kind of cover it up a bit. She's adamant about going down to the shoreline saying, hey, seen it. Something crashed. It's a UFO. The rest of them are like, oh, okay, it's not a UFO. And then they look again through the telescope and they see a weird shape. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. Now, of course, kids being kids, do we wake mom and dad? No. Let's just go down to the beach and investigate.
Let's go. Come on, gang. Let's go. All right, Fred. All right.
Exactly. And before you say that, not possible, Barry, obviously you've never read, the Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew. Clearly, and I'm talking read the original novels, not what's on CW. I'm talking about read the original novels. Obviously, you've never gone through and seen, as Rod said, Scooby-Doo gang. They were a bunch of teenagers. Obviously, you've never watched Pokemon, where it is one kid is going around the world by himself with pets, and no one seems to know where Ash's mom and dad, uncle, aunts, whoever they are. He's out there solo going around the world.
Let me start on that.
What about school? Ash out there just chasing magical creatures. Oh, okay. I want to be a Pokemon trainer. So yes, the kids are excited. They run down to the beach. They finally see the spaceship. Scene plays. Okay, opens up. You see Whitey. He explains why he's there and what's going on. But he's somewhat injured. And it's funny because the one who's the most brave out of this whole quartet is the youngest one. It's Katie. Right? Because even to the point where Julie, who's the older sister, it's like she's scared to go.
Right.
And she looks at her younger sister and it's like, hey, Katie, you can hold my hand so you won't be scared. And Katie's like, oh, sure, whatever. Because Katie wasn't scared.
You sure you don't mean you're not scared, Jules? All right, Jules, I'll hold your hand. Let's go. Okay.
Well, I like the writing on this. I really try to show how their personalities were, their strengths or weaknesses, as people, because everyone has that. And keep in mind, they're not adults. They're kids. They're not, born in outer space or something like that, or born with $1 billion, and can go and train and be dark and broody. No. So they go down, they meet Whitey, they see that, they see the aliens show up. So 2 of them stay at the ship with Whitey. 2 are running back to the house finally to get mom and dad. And when they're getting back there, the aliens, the snarks, as they call them, is the easiest way to pronounce it, that were chasing Whitey, land at the house, the beach house. They go in there, they find the parents, kidnap the parents, bring it on board. Then the kids show up trying to stop them. Whitey gets in there and he gets into a fight. And Whitey has all these different powers, right? Whitey has like 4 different powers. So he can use one like anti-gravity, make himself light. He has another one. He's got like rainbows that shoot out that can make him fly at like light speed, so to speak. And he can make energy shields or throw energy, and then he has another one he can turn into a gaseous form. So these are the powers that his race gets, but he's never been trained as a warrior. So he's not 100% versed in these powers. He knows them. He knows how to use them, but he's more of the scientific clan
Right.
as opposed to a warrior clan. So, he knows how to use them basically for basic self-defense. Anyone can ball up a fist and, give someone 5 across the eyes, right? But doesn't mean you're going to be the next Bruce Lee just because you win one fight.
Completely.
Right? Okay. So this is what it comes down to, and that's what I liked. And then the kids, have to get in the ship. They go with Whitey. He's injured. He's trying to figure a way for them to, save their parents. He's following the ship, and he knows that during this fight he got injured, but he's fatally wounded. He's going to pass away. He's not going to make it to the next day. But at the same time, he doesn't want to tell that to the kids because he understands they're kids. Doesn't want to traumatize them. So he comes up with an idea saying, hey, in my race, what we're able to do at times is just able to do transference, when we're able to transform part of our essence, our powers, into someone else of our race. Right. Where if you're part of that race, you already have those powers. So I guess maybe it just amplifies what that person would have. And that's how I'm going with it. And he turns around and says, takes their hands, and he goes, I don't know if it's going to work. It might drive you crazy. It might do this. It's going to be totally random. And he gives his powers to the kids. And each kid, of course, gets one particular power, right? Out of the 4 that I mentioned. So, for example, Alex, he calls himself G because he's like anti-G force. Like he can touch something. He can make it super light. He can cause himself to float. He can't fly, but he can cause himself to float. And then at times he learns how the different ways to use that power. His brother Jack turns into a gaseous cloud, can make himself bigger, smaller. He can go through things. Like he's a cloud. He's a cloud, right?
Right.
He can expand it suddenly to kind of snuff out flames, and he learns. Then, Julie gets the power of flight. She starts flying, but she gets like a rainbow behind her from her waist down, and she can fly really fast. Almost like she takes on the name eventually, not originally, Lightspeed. And then Katie has like the most dangerous offensive power where her whole body turns into like an energy form, like almost a Human Torch, and she can throw like energy, from her hands, or energy balls, or energy, lasers, whatever. That's the formation of Power Pack. And they use their powers in a combination to go and save their parents, to get back the machine that was stolen that their dad made that can destroy the world. They ended up breaking it by accident. Mm-hmm. But hey, there was no place. They got it. They went into the base. They broke it out. They've got it. They took away. They're like, we're going to hide it somewhere. And all of a sudden, they're not used to using their powers. A updraft hits, poor G who has it. And everyone kind of shifts, and it's like, oops, it slips out of his hands. It falls to the earth and breaks. Well, it was too big to hide anyway, so this works out best for us.
There you go.
Yeah. That's Power Pack in a nutshell. And the sibling rivalry doesn't even end with that. It continues because everyone gets jealous of everyone else's powers. So, Alex is cool with his powers as the oldest brother. But everyone looks at him like, well, why'd you got to be the boss of us? Well, I'm the oldest. Well, I don't think so. Julie seems to be more level-headed one. Maybe she should be the leader, So it's like, well, boys against girls, and kids have that whole thing, girls got cooties or boys got cooties, or, boys are better, girls are better. It kept that, innocence about it that I like.
Right. That piece of dynamic was a great way to. The writing was good because it helped Drew in the reader, the young people who's reading it, and realize they can relate to having this type of sibling type of rivalry, and realizing like, you know what, some days I feel like I'm the most powerful person in here type of scenario, or I'm the one who's just reckless, just like Jack, and just like, I don't care, or you're the level-headed one like Julie, or you'd be like the leader type of mindset, like Alex. So you can see how they've actually were able to, like I was saying earlier, come up with the stories and basically fine tune it, that you find enough realism in the characters. For sure. We've all, we've been kids. We all probably have kids at a certain time, and you see the parody and you see the understanding of like, yeah, that's how the kids react. Oh yeah, that's how the kids react. Okay, all right, let me get myself prepared. Do your own, or go clean the dish. That kind of scenario.
Yep.
you're taking it all in. So it was great. And like you were talking earlier in regards like people that they were connecting with, like you said, it was Franklin. Yeah, I was just going through here, just seeing like Cloak and Dagger. That's
Yes.
another interesting, collaboration. So having them work with, with Cloak and Dagger, the
Yep.
X-Men, New Mutants,
Yep.
like is it Franklin?
Yep.
So it's they're a very good team in the sense, like you said, it's a great. There's only we're talking about the original 1984 volume one, but there have been many volumes that they've brought it back and basically been able to use these characters back in the Marvel universe to this day
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. And I like the whole thing. I mean, and when I say they're in some heavy storylines, so one of the storylines are in were Secret Wars 2, Fall of the Mutants, the Inferno storyline, right? That was going on, the Mutant Massacre. So they got, even though they're not mutants, they got pulled into it a lot. At one point, Professor Xavier was trying to help them out, kind of help teach them how to use their powers. Spider-Man, they teamed up with, Cloak and Dagger, as you said, the X-Men. And at one point, of course, the Fantastic Four. And then even at one point, one of them was part of the New Warriors. So that's, Night Thrasher, Nova, Namorta, Marvel Boy, Firestar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I missed anyone from the original lineup. Right, Nova, I mentioned. Yeah, from the original lineup. Right. So that they've been around forever. They have popped into the Avengers. And the thing is, they never started out to be a team. I think they're kind of taking essence of the Fantastic Four. This is why they work better with the Fantastic Four to me than Cloak and Dagger. They are not that dark, and they're family. Fantastic Four was known as, the Marvel's first family.
Yep.
This is another family that could go through the age. You can age them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to keep them the same age forever, which is great. And they had to deal with, basic storylines. What I mean basic, I don't mean like dumbed down, but they wrote them to deal with going to school for the first time, how they interact in school, dealing with bullies, dealing with homework, dealing with the feelings of, poor Katie going, not Katie, sorry. It's,
Julie.
Yeah, it's Katie.
Julie.
No, Katie being the youngest, going
yep.
Going to like preschool for or kindergarten for the first time, being away, right? The other ones have already gone through the kindergarten and all that. So going to kindergarten, how they look at their parents. And at the beginning, they try to keep all this away from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So they kept it as a secret identity. At one point, their parents do find out that, hey, you got powers. Hey, okay, well, this is what's going on. In their original series, Volume 1 series, their dad, Dr. Powers, was working with, Reed Richards as a person. If you're in a field that you love and then work with someone who is a peer in that field, that's almost like, come on. It's like if you're a musician and you get to go and play and have a jam session with your favorite musician. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. Myself being a comedian, it's like being a comedian. And then if Kevin Hart would come up to me and say, hey man, I like your set. You want to, sit down and write some jokes with me? Or do you want to come on one of my shows? Or do you want to do an opening spot? One of the venues I'm working at? Okay. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. So what gets me, and this is why I like Power Pack, and I'll get to this part of it. What I like about them is, especially now, we know Marvel is owned by Disney.
Right.
I know a lot of the cartoons are out there, and I think for myself personally, this is my own personal feeling. And Rod, you can speak to this too after. I say that there's a lot of cartoons out there. So there's cartoons out there, but when the cartoons get made, do you make it for young adults? Do you make it for the adults? Or do you make it for kids? Right? Every time they get a property, it's like Avengers. Do we make it for which demographic are we going for?
Right.
And there's certain reasons why you go for an older or younger demographic. And it all comes down to finances and what you're trying to do to build that property. So the books already existed, but now we're turning into another medium. And this is why we go and we love doing the show. And I figure I looked at DC, for example, and DC came out and they're coming out with a movie and it's DC's Pets. Right? So it's Batman's dog, Ace. It's Crypto. Yes. It's, every pet that ever was in any of the DC properties out some point or the other where some heroes had a pet. Now they've given them and they put in a movie. We know this is aimed at kids. It's got to be a comedy, but it's not Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. It's Crypto. It's Superdog and Bat Dog and Wonder Cat and all if you look at one point, all heroes, no matter what universe, had some kind of pet. Some of them made more of an impression than others. Some were just maybe a passing anecdote used, like Power Girl, when she had this one cat in Justice League when she was there, and the cat was missing an eye, and it was all like rough looking because it was a feral cat, but it only like Power Girl, and it would scratch everybody else. Okay, fine. Or is it an animal, like I said, like Krypto, which was from Krypton, has the same powers as Superman. Then Superman and the dog is above intelligence, and Superman lets that dog go and do whatever he wants. Not once I ever see Superman turn around and say, "Oh man, I gotta take Krypto for a walk." It's like Superman's fighting off. It's like, "Hey, anyone seen Krypto? Oh, I haven't seen Krypto in a while." Whistle, and Krypto just fly from wherever he's at. It's like, "Hey," it's like, "Don't you take care of your pet?"
Like who feeding it? Who feeding? Like what? What kind of like you got a big amount of food and just getting it and just I don't know. Anyway, we'll go
that's a different story. We can talk about that.
That's a different
story. So with this, I think that it gives me feels to me that this would work right now. And that's where we're talking about Power Pack today. You're not going to find much on them online, or if you do, you find them integrated in other storylines. But this, as their own, would work today in the MCU,
right?
As a property, especially being owned by Disney. Disney is known for making kid-friendly movies. Escape from Witch Mountain, The Cat from Outer Space. Herbie the Love. They were made for kids, aimed at kids, with adults in the background of the mind. This is a sure shot, guaranteed. Disney can't go wrong with this. This is the demographic they want to hit, so they don't have to turn around and say, "We're going to make Peter Parker and we're going to put him in, elementary school. Let's do like Young Avengers, like Teen Titans Go." Here's a prime example. You got the Teen Titans. You look at Young Justice. You see the Teen Titans. Teen Titans we know are maybe young adults, right? But they're not aimed at kids. So what they did is they did Teen Titans Go, which was aimed for a younger demographic.
Correct.
Right. Teen Titans Go, to me, it was too young for me personally, so I couldn't get into it. It had some odd jokes, and you're like, okay, yeah, but it's too goofy. With Power Pack, can't go wrong. You got 4 kids. You got the family aspect, and it's almost a mix of, The Last Starfighter. But, you got the sci-fi part of it. You got the action part of it. You got the family part of it. Go. You cast some kid actors. It could be, Stranger Things with a sci-fi twist instead of a horror twist.
Right.
So that's my 2 cents on it. What do you think, Rod?
Well, Disney, like you say, Disney has the opportunity. Like the show can work right now.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. Great example, great pull in regards to Teen Titans Go, because that was the same thing even when Thundercats Go. That's another one in the same way that they basically aimed at particular medium or basically aimed at younger generation versus those who kind of, you have to wonder when Thundercat comes out, when the one that came out in 2012 or 2014,
right?
know that was geared towards late teen to young adult, demographic.
Yep.
But it did great for us. It didn't do great for the company, sales and everything like that. No one was buying anything like that. So that's why that the comeback with Thundercats Go for the younger generation, at least to pull that off. And like you said, it's great, but it's like that's the same way. I found it nice, but I'm like, I can't get no pull in it. It's just too young, too quick. And they were all in the same time frame of being like 12 minutes. It wasn't even a full 20 minute type of, episode. It was like 12 minutes. So it was like short clips. It just, they're just shorts. They were shorts.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So DC here, we're going to do, not DC, sorry, Marvel, we're going to do you a service. We going to turn around and say, first of all, if you want a property that's aimed at kids that and the MCU, you want to make it more family friendly, because I said in the MCU cinematic universe, be it if it's a streaming service, show, limited series, or a movie, big picture, but whatever, I think that's what's missing from the MCU. You have moments in it, but I think that's what's missing from the MCU altogether. I think that's what they're hoping for the new series coming out, Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
Right. But I want something more with a little bit more legs on it. Ms. Marvel, cool. Okay. Gotcha. But I want something with more meat on the bone.
Right.
And you got Volume 1, 62 issues. It's got multiple volumes. They have multiple crossovers. They're there with other characters, and to show you, I mean, at one point, and it's like getting near the end of that series of that 62 run. Alex, for some reason, loses his own body, and his mind goes into, or it gets transformed into a Kremlin. Oh my gosh, one of the Whitey's race, right? So he gets that whole horse-shaped looking face and all that. So he doesn't even have a human body anymore. But they go through the whole thing of, growing up, having their first love and dating and all. It has everything needed for it to be a series to aim for that demographic right now. If we had to kind of kick it off, live action, no question about that, right? It'll work. So this brings us to this point. So first of all, that's my feeling about it. Would you want to see this live action? Would you want to see this as a cartoon?
Myself,
yeah,
I would say this. I would like to see it maybe as a live action, but I know a live action. There's enough story, and this is the thing. There's enough story that you can pull from that not a one shot, but even like say 2-3 movies.
Yes,
there's so much more. So if anything, I would like to, this is one of the rare times I'll say, have a live action, then follow up with a cartoon.
Right, I agree with you.
Follow up with a cartoon after. Do a live action first to draw the people and get them familiarized and let them know that although it's a cartoon, like when you come with a cartoon, they did that first. People may catch it like, oh, it's a Marvel property to a certain degree. But if they did a live action, you didn't even have to say put in any other characters. No other Marvel properties in there.
No.
Just have that, but it's realistic, and you even just say verbally Avengers, Fantastic Four. You just say that just to make the connection that it is in this particular, in our same world, the MCU world, I should say. Then that's it. So from that point on, everyone's mind is established. It's real life. It's this MCU established. We're good from there. It'll cross from there. Then when you go to cartoon, anytime they see the cartoon, the animated, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. They'll know that's real because that's MCU. We're good.
Yeah. And that's what they did with the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Guardians of the Galaxy is going to have a total of 3 movies, and it had its cartoon series, and it had little shorts off of that, right? So absolutely agree with you 100% with that movie. And then that's one thing I forgot to say. I know I was going there and I kind of got long-winded. It happens. With the characters, the brothers and the sisters are always kind of jealous of each other's powers. So Jack found, Jack, who was the second oldest boy, I would say, right? Because it's really Alex and Jack. So Jack thought, oh man, my powers are useless. I just turned into gaseous cloud. I wish I had somebody else's powers, Right. So the kids were actually envious of each other's powers.
Each other. Yes.
And then they do get an opportunity that they do swap powers. They're, they go through and they're able to change powers at one point. And when they do change those powers, finally it's like, oh man, I got these powers, are so cool. But then, when Jack gets, for example, Katie's powers, and then Alex gets Jack's powers turned into a gaseous cloud, he's like, oh man, you can do this, you can do that. It's like, wait a minute, you're doing stuff with my powers that I didn't even think of doing, right? It was almost like Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man.
Good cut.
Right? Because Spider-Man's like, oh, I'm doing all this. And then when Doc Ock took over Superior, being Peter Parker, and went in there and became Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Man's like, I never thought of using my powers that way. I never thought of using what I knew that way. You're a better Spider-Man than I am. And you're a villain, but you're trying to outdo me, and you are. It's like, have you never thought about using your spider sense this way? No. Oh, how'd you get by all these years? How'd you end up beating me without even doing that? This is why the fight's so easy. I never thought of that. And then another story part is Alex absorbs all the other 3 powers into himself, and that's when he joined the New Warriors. At one point, he's a juggernaut. In a sense, he's got all this power in him. Yeah. So I like the rivalry. I like that they swap powers at one point. I like that one takes over because Alex is the only one that can actually absorb all the powers. And I like the fact that the parents know their kids have powers and are not freaking out about it. Most of the times, you can't tell mom and dad. So that progression of the story is really great. And just like you said, live action, give it up, follow it up with a cartoon. You want to hit that demographic, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to look and see which wheel you want to use.
Right.
this is the wheel. So we're going to get down to it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it. 4 characters. Well, I was saying, so the Powers children. There's 4 children and Whitey. We're calling him Whitey. That's the name he has with a ship Friday.
Right.
Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to take a crack at this. And the names you might not recognize, but these are people that have already existed in the, actors that are doing, they're doing work right now on different things. So for Alex, who's the oldest brother, I like this actor. I just saw him a little while ago. Not personally, I'm just saying, in a project, pun intended. And his name is Braxton Bajorkin. He was the boy in the Adam Project, playing a young Ryan Reynolds.
Nice.
Right? So that's who I'm going with first and foremost to play the older brother, Alex. Then there's Walker Scobell to play Jack. Then with with Julie, I'll go with Julie first. So Julie, I had McKenna Grace, who was in a Disney show already.
Mm-hmm.
And then Katie, the youngest, is Brooklyn Prince. So I know my characters, the ages that these actors are right now are 2 of them are 15, one is 13, one is 11. They're a little bit older than the characters are portraying there in the book, unless you bring in an unknown. But this is who I was able to find. I went a little bit older. I think as a little bit older, you can get more fun in some of the storylines. I would have loved to found someone maybe younger to play the youngest one, Katie. And if actors, they always play someone younger anyways. So I would like to get someone to play Katie who would be a little bit younger than 11-year-old, because I would love to see if I could find an actress that was maybe, 6, 7, but then you got to get twins. And if it's going to be a live action project, because it's got to be, you can't have them working too much on set a certain way to kind of get that storyline. And keep in mind that when the storyline came out was 1984. Here we are in 2022.
Right.
So what kids use back then to now is 2 different things, right? So of course, if you're going to do it more modern, you got to incorporate what the atmosphere is with, cell phones and smart technology and cloud and social media, because they never focused on that in the book because it was 1984. So you have to incorporate that now to make it more relevant. And my voice for the alien, Whitey, would be, once again, no pun intended, Jack White.
Okay.
Because Whitey is not going to, he's got to be CG'd.
Right.
He's got to be CG'd. So Jack White will have that, he's got it. He can definitely be Whitey from all his past projects he's done before. So with past projects, you're looking at stuff like, you're looking at Schoolhouse Rock.
Right.
King Kong.
Right.
He's got that range. Schoolhouse Rock was really what I was thinking of when I saw Jack White and how he played that particular role in there. So that, him with kids, how he's teaching them, how he's mentoring them, how he's warm and welcoming, and it still would bring enough little bit of humor and let the audience connect with an alien, how that alien can be with those kids. Give him a little bit of a bigger role, not too big, because you don't want to overshadow, rewrite the whole book, and then let it go from there. So that's how I'm going with Power Pack. But like you said, though, live action movie, maybe into a cartoon, if not a continuation of the movie.
Got it. Good. Okay, so you know what? So you meant Jack Black.
Oh, sorry, Jack Black. Yes, not Jack White.
Okay.
Yeah, Jack. I think Jack White's was it the White Stripes? My bad.
No worries.
Yeah, Jack Black. Yeah, cool. Whitey's played by Jack Black. Keep it real.
Right. Yeah. He's in School Rock. I'm like, you mean Black? Okay, cool. No problem. Cool. You know what? I like that. And I'm gonna. You said something at the end just now in regards of you gave your characters, you gave the actors a little bit older because you knew you wanted to get a little bit more depth and get definitely a different connection on it. I was thinking similar from that, but I kind of like shifted everybody up. Like I added like another 5 years on each person.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of shifted them up. So they're still in they're young, they're still young people. So
right.
instead of Alex being like 12, I'm kind of gearing for like say 15, 16.
Okay,
You know
gotcha.
what I mean? So I'm just shifting them up another 4 years on that time frame. So I was looking for actors in that same range because my thought was now thinking on the reverse end, more on Katie's end. Written, she's 5 years old. She's
Mhm.
basically so yeah, she's supposed to be. It was 12, 10, 8, and knocked down to 5. So Katie was supposed to be 5.
Right.
I'm realizing a 5-year-old is going to be the amount of the length of storytelling I want you to pull out,
Mhm.
but she has to be very feisty, and we want to be able to pull that range out of her, and just think, just be a real, not being realistic, but you know what I mean, like, have that feistiness,
Yeah, you want
having
to be
that
authentic.
authentic. So I say, let me have someone who's a little bit older who can just slightly be able to pull that range when called upon.
Okay.
So what I was doing, so it's gonna be, we'll get to that part of the joke just now.
Okay.
So I was gonna start off with Alex. I was going with again a couple of names you may not know. Some you will know. So we're gonna go with Alex. We're gonna go with Jack Dyler Grazer. Jack Dyler Grazer
Uh-huh.
is from Shazam. He was uh Freddy. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
Freddy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, let me have him as leader, cause again, even although this is DC, yes, he's
Yes.
already playing a DC, but you know what?
They
I know
cross
he's
over.
coming back. The crossover. He's coming for the second movie, but you know what? Hey, off time, he could be someone else. That's cool. But you can hear the intelligence and instead of how he was very, very
Yes.
articulate of like how he was. I know everything about Batman, Superman, whatever the case to be, a superhero,
Yes, yes,
this, and
yes,
that.
yes, yes.
So I gave him that leader type of mindset.
Okay.
So I went now with McKenna Grace. Sounds familiar, right?
No.
I was weak.
No.
But I had her at Julie, so we'll just go right there.
Wow. Okay, so
I went. Yeah,
keep
go
going,
ahead.
keep going.
Yeah. So then I went with Roman Griffin Davis. Roman Griffin Davis. If you ever the movie Jojo Rabbit.
Right. Yes.
So that one, when the child had the mindset, an imaginary friend of Hitler and everything along that line,
Right, right, right.
just his look and his spunkiness, I was saying, you know what, I will give him the role for 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 Jack,
Okay.
and get him that. Now for Katie,
Mhm.
a name you might have heard before, Brooklyn Prince. So it's going to be it's a very interesting thing. So
Wow.
so that was yeah, that was what I was going with. That was what I was going with.
Okay. Okay. So who would you get for Whitey? Who would you get for
For
Whitey?
Whitey, now I wanted someone that has a name at least you can kind of pull. We
Right.
went with Jack. That was good. I wanted to go with Patton Oswalt. So he could definitely pull that type of character to pull that. And I wanted to even say Sideswipe that, you know what? Hey, Patton, we have you for the first 2 episodes type of scenario.
Right.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're going to have you from 3rd and onward. Why? Because I'm going to slash you as Friday. So congratulations. You're playing a dual role. We'll cut you a second check. Cut you as Friday. We're going to keep you here.
Ooh.
Keep you here. And we'll put you as Friday.
Nice. So Friday the Ship. Okay. I didn't even go
Friday the Ship.
Deep
I didn't even,
right there.
Exactly. But I thought it after. I was like, you know what? Because like we were talking earlier, Whitey came in, but then you don't see Whitey anymore. He's more of, like you said, he's like the Obi-Wan, the Yoda, just the ghost. He just comes comes later on when needed.
Yeah.
Friday is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Let's get at least a voice for Friday. Let's put Patton as the voice.
Absolutely, because at one point, I mean, come on,
Whitey?
No, I'm thinking a totally different genre right now.
Oh, okay.
He played Iceman in Top Gun. Val Kilmer. There we go.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer did the voice for Knight Rider.
Oh yeah,
at one point.
For Knight Rider, exactly. Yeah.
So okay, all right, okay. So I got you. But wow. So let's just say this here right now. Okay, let's put a pause.
Yeah. Put a pin right there. Pause.
Put a pin in. Pause. Okay, here we go. This is the first time I think in all our episodes. I think it happened.
It happened
second time.
This is the second time. We've had it once before.
My bad. Second time. Second time in all our episodes. We never discuss who we pick until we get on this show. Yeah. So we don't know who and it's the second time that we've picked similar actresses to do the role. Right. And not only was we picked two. So we both picked Brooklyn Prince and McKenna Grace. When we do something like this, there's only one thing left to say.
I'm going to strong bloodline. As well as saying, I need to go to the depth. I need to go get a lottery ticket. I'll be right back, people.
You and me both. Wow. Well, there's nothing much more to say than that. So we're just going to wrap this one up and simply say thank you. This is the second time, but in this one, we called out out of 5 people we cast, we called two the same.
Right.
Get your lottery ticket. Lottery ticket.
And just to let people know, McKenna Grace, if she was the lead on Ghostbusters Afterlife. So just to put a face to who it is, you can clearly see that, yeah, she has the ability to be that leader. You know, at least, you know, she'll take point after Alex. But it would be a nice run. It'd be a nice run.
Disney, don't mess up.
Don't mess up. That's right.
Right on. Right so there. We're gonna end the show off. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Very simple. We're gonna make this real quick here. Don't forget, support your books. Quick shout outs of all the people we support the show and we support them. So once again, it's A Touch of Gray Matter, Jaybird Digital Arts, Beyond the Balcony.
Over there.
That's right. Wow Comics, Check Swing Comics, and our homeboy Wayne Tennant, still singing Vapors, pumping that jam. Everything you want to find, you can find on the links. You can find everything that I'm doing and up to, and I'm back to doing live shows through barry3d.com. Rod, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. You can find me on Twitch at DJ Rod C. You actually do it. Listen, I'm there every week. We're having fun, so that's where you can find me. So we're going. Let's do it. Oh,
awesome. Sweet. And on that note, this is how we cast out Power Pack. Tune back in. Thank you. We read all the comments. And remember, this whole world was started with a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming.
Do it. Power Pack. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Where's the Depanar? I need a Depanar. I'll be right back. Bye, everybody. Depanar.
You going back home?
Depanar.